The transformation from the Hebrew Satan into the Christian mythical figure.
The transformation of the Hebrew concept of Satan into the modern Christian figure is a journey from a common noun meaning adversary to a personified cosmic enemy. This evolution was shaped by shifts in biblical literature, historical exposure to other cultures, and later artistic depictions. 1. The Hebrew Satan as a human adversary. In the earliest Hebrew scriptures, Satan was not a proper name, but a common noun. The Hebrew word is hasatan, hasatan, where the prefix ha means the, identifying it as a title or a description, the adversary, rather than a specific being's name. Initially, a Satan could be a human enemy or a nation. 1 Kings chapter 11, verse 14. The Bible states that God raised up an adversary, Satan, against Solomon, named Hadad the Edomite. In this context, Satan is a human military or political opponent. 2 Samuel chapter 24, verse 1, versus 1 Chronicles chapter 21, verse 1. In 2 Samuel, God is the one who incites David to take a census. However, in the later book of 1 Chronicles, the text says Satan without the, incited David. Scholars note this shift shows a developing idea where a separate adversary figure begins to take on roles previously attributed directly to God's anger. 2. The Satan in the Heavenly Council, the Book of Job. In the Book of Job, the concept shifts from a human enemy to a supernatural figure, but one who still works within God's administration. The divine prosecutor. In Job chapter 1, verse 6, the Satan appears among the sons of God, the Heavenly Council, to present himself before the Lord. His role: he acts as a celestial prosecutor or accuser, whose job is to test the loyalty of humans. He is not an enemy of God, but an official who questions human righteousness. Allegorical interpretation. Some scholars view this Satan as an allegory for personal temptation or a metaphor for the struggle to stay on God's path. 3. Historical influences and the shift to cosmic evil. The transition to a personified evil Satan. The modern visual representation of Satan is a composite character, built over centuries by merging imagery from various ancient deities, folklore, and artistic interpretations. Interestingly, the Bible provides almost no physical description of Satan, leaving artists of the Middle Ages and Renaissance to borrow features from pagan gods to depict the personification of evil. 1. The horns and cloven hooves, the influence of Pan. The most recognizable features of Satan, the goat-like horns, shaggy legs, and cloven hooves, are direct visual borrowings from the Greek god Pan and the satyrs. The deity. Pan was the god of the wild, shepherds, and fertility. He was a liminal figure, existing between the human and animal worlds. The shift: early Christians sought to demonize indigenous and Greco-Roman nature religions. By taking the physical attributes of a popular fertility deity like Pan and applying them to the devil, the church visually communicated that the old gods were actually demons. The goat metaphor. This was reinforced by the biblical parable of the sheep and the goats, Matthew chapter 25, where sheep represent the saved and goats represent the damned. 2. The pitchfork. The influence of Poseidon and Pluto. The trident or pitchfork associated with the devil does not appear in early Christian art. It was adapted from the symbols of authority held by powerful underworld or sea deities. Poseidon/Neptune, the Greek god of the sea, carried a trident to shake the earth and create storms. Pluto/Hades, the ruler of the underworld, was often depicted with a bident, a two-pronged fork, or a scepter. The shift: as Satan's role shifted from a prosecutor in heaven to the jailer of hell, artists equipped him with these ancient symbols of sovereignty over the lower realms. The fork eventually became a tool for tossing sinners into the flames in medieval art. 3. Red skin. The influence of Set in Revelation. The color red became synonymous with the devil through a combination of biblical text and Egyptian mythology. The deity Set. In ancient Egypt, the god Set, god of chaos, storms, and the desert, was associated with the color red, the color of the scorching desert sand and blood. Red-haired animals and people were often associated with Set's chaotic nature. The Great Red Dragon. Revelation chapter 12 verse 3 describes a great red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns. This vivid imagery provided a scriptural basis for artists to use red as the primary color for the personification of evil. Symbolism. Red also reinforced the connection to the fires of Gehenna, hell. and the passion or violence of sin. 4. Bat wings, the corruption of angels. Early depictions of the devil often showed him as a fallen angel with feathered wings, though often dark or tattered. The shift. Around the 12th century, artists began replacing feathered wings with membranous bat wings. The logic: bats were creatures of the night and were seen as unclean or monstrous hybrids, mammals that fly. By giving Satan bat wings, artists visually stripped him of his celestial beauty and marked him as a creature of darkness and the underworld, in direct contrast to the feathered, bird-like wings of the heavenly host. 5. Summary of deific influences. Bes, Egyptian. A dwarf deity with a large head and protruding tongue, influenced the grotesque and frightening facial expressions of medieval demons. Hades, Greek. Contributed the concept of a ruler of the dead and the keys to the underworld. Zoroastrianism, Persian. While not a visual influence, the figure of Ahriman, the spirit of darkness, provided the theological framework for a singular, powerful opponent to the god of light. In conclusion, the figure we recognize today as Satan is a tapestry woven from ancient linguistics, political metaphors, and the visual leftovers of older religions. By tracing the word back to its origins as hasatan, the functional accuser or adversary, we see a shift from a member of the divine council to a cosmic rebel. As we've explored, the pitchfork, the horns, and the red skin aren't found in the earliest texts, but are instead symbols borrowed from deities like Pan, Pluto, and Set to help early audiences visualize the concept of opposition. Understanding this history doesn't just change how we look at the character, it reveals how human culture, language, and art constantly evolve to define the forces of good and evil. Thanks for diving into this historical breakdown. Keep questioning the origins and stay curious about the stories that shape our world. Until next time.